Hello viewers of the Uganda Catholic Television. We thank you for keeping us your priority. My name is Joseph Kabaale, yet again hosting the Weekend Edition. Today we are joined with the Counsel George Musisi, a renowned, I should say, political activist. I don't think that would be a better whereas I would like to introduce him as the legal advisor of the National Unity Platform. And today we are seeking a conversation about the legal and the political dimension is shaping our opposition political, like how they are going to navigate through to the 2026 general elections. Counsel, it is an honor having you here.
Pleasure to be here.
You can greet our audience, Counsel.
I greet you, viewers. Thank you for having me here for the very first time. You don't have to struggle. You can just call me an activist. I'm a human rights activist.
Yes,
I'm a good governance activist. You can call me a political activist, but I struggle for a better country than we are living in now.
Yes, Counsel.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. So many of us know you and identify you as a human rights defender as well, who has been on so many occasions at the legal battles regarding the electoral justice and the human rights. Would you now say, can we say Uganda, do we have any constitutional crisis?
Yes, I think we're having a constitutional crisis which has been coming over time. The biggest crisis we're having is the powers of the presidency or the executive. Our constitution, the 1995 constitution, is going to be making 30 years this year since it was promulgated in 1995. One of the key features of it was the issue of separation of powers, that there is the judiciary, there is the parliament, there is the executive. Each of these organs are supposed to do different roles. Sometimes the roles are combined, but the issue is that they're supposed to be almost independent in the execution of their duties. But most importantly, the judiciary is supposed to be independent of the two for purposes of arbitrating disputes which may arise from any of the two.
Yes.
What we have now, especially when with the removal of term limits in 2005, the removal of age limits in 2017, removed one of the biggest pillars that was holding our constitution. So what we have now is almost a life presidency. The other day when someone tried to get nominations for NRM chairmanship, Mr. Tango said, no, this was done in 2019. Although he later changed his mind, it seemed, okay, you are welcome. So it seems with the question of that, it meant that there is almost a fusion. When you see even the data he wrote recently, Mr. Museveni, on the Balaro issue, it's almost he's the head of the judiciary, it's as if he's the head of parliament. In his head, he doesn't see any difference between, he says, I told the court, I told the Chief Justice, I told Parliament, even the Speaker, who's the head of the third arm of Parliament, she has said before that, you know, publicly, you know, when Mr. Museveni asks me jump, I don't ask, I just ask how high. So for an institution which is supposed to keep the executive in check, the constitutional crisis now is that now we have a merger, a near merger of the arms of government, which is not what our lawmakers envisaged when they were making that 95 constitution.
So this makes me to understand that we have issues regarding the independence of the institutions, and we are heading fast to the 2026 general elections. So do you think, would you say Uganda currently has the institutional infrastructure to organize for free and credible 2026 general elections?
No, it doesn't, but and it has never had, because if you look at the elections held, all the elections are held under this constitution, 96, 2001, 2006, when we started going at multipartism, there have been major complaints which have been similar. One of the complaints has been the issue of the role of security agencies in elections. It has been a recurrent issue, complaint, where many times the security agencies look at themselves as part of the armed wing of the ruling party. We even saw it in Kawempe, in front of the cameras. Even you people were not spared. Many agents were beaten for nothing, because many times when it happens behind the cameras, They say there is provocation, they insulted us, but this time it was beaten for nothing. So what is the role of security agencies? They are meant to safeguard security, but we've seen them taking an active role. In fact, if I use the example of Kawempe North, the goons who stole the boxes from those 14 polling stations were guarded by security, and security let them go away. So the interference of security, the issue of not allowing opposition candidates the same space to enjoy, because that is, all those are issues which make the election free and fair. If those elements keep on going away, not allowing the opposition candidates, opposition candidates are pushed to, they're not allowed to campaign. They are, you saw the last election, it was the security determining who goes where. The RDCs. You saw for the first time in the last 2021 election where a presidential candidate is arrested with his entire security team, like it happened in Kalangala. In over 100 of his campaign agents. We saw shootings even on the streets of Kampala, November 2020, over 50 people were shot dead. And the question is, Joseph, elections is not just the day of polling. Elections is the process leading up to even the polling. For instance,
it was all the electoral activities that come along with it.
What is the effect of arresting a presidential candidate and his entire team on the person who is just watching it on TV? What is the effect of shooting people, over 50 people, on the streets of Kampala? One time in one of the petitions, a judge said, if you have 10 birds on the tree and you shoot one, they don't remain 9. You don't say that, no, they have remained 9. Others will run away out of fear. So that's the same thing with elections, that the effect on the person who is just watching. That is why in Kawempe, which was marred by violence, we saw the turnout being 14%, something which had never been done before. 14% of the registered voters turning up to vote. So we have not had free and fair elections. We've won the few seats that have been won despite of those challenges. So even this one, no one can lie to themselves that we are going in expecting a free and fair vote.
But you are anxious, like you all, as well as you term it, you're so pessimistic. You don't expect something so good from it. You're anxious and you're ambitious joining it.
Yes, yes, because all struggles for good governance, for freedom, for rights, all over the world, there are struggles. You don't sit down and say, okay, let us pray and wait for it to change. You struggle. The apartheid struggle was a struggle. That is why people went to prison for 20 years, for 10 years, for 27. Because they kept on, you wake up every day hoping to do, because the reverse would be to say that let us fold our hands and wait for the situation to be normal. No, they will not allow it. They will not allow it to be normal. So you struggle, because even in that struggle, there have been some wins.
So, but your participation in these electoral activities, doesn't it sanitize the regime's existence, to make it more legitimate?
Not necessarily. In fact, I've had that argument from people who say, why do you participate? They know about how comes those you win. It doesn't, because if you boycott, there are people who keep on talk about boycott. Boycott should not be an end in itself. Because we've seen parties, when we were going into the referendum for return multi-partyism in 2005, bigger parties boycotted, like UPC and DP. Then Mr. Museveni got his own Mr. called Nelson Ochegere, and he put up a semblance of a campaign. Nelson Ochegere is now an ambassador of Uganda. I think he's in Moscow. So the same thing. Boycott should be when you have another plan, maybe to how are you going to advance your cause. But boycott should not be an end. If you boycott, there will be another person. Even amongst the opposition, there are people who are already talking about running. So even amidst all these, what I was saying, that there have been some wins. Like, for instance, there are some people who come to parliament on an opposition platform, despite all those hurdles, and they try to advance the cause. And then, most importantly, it allows you a chance to reach Ugandans, to sensitize them, to awaken them up. Because ultimately, this is not a struggle for NUP or for one individual. It's a struggle for Ugandans. So every opportunity you get to awaken them, it should be a struggle for each and every person to come up and own up. So that elections gives us a chance as much as possible, try to embolden the people. Because now you can see the entire country is in a campaign mode. That in itself is a good thing, because people are taking a keen interest in the management of their affairs.
So I would like, right there, I would like to drag you back to the Kawempe North by-election. Whereas in 2021, we still have some of your supporters, okay, some of the NUP supporters are still incarcerated. Some are, their whereabouts are still unknown.
That's true.
What doesn't this set a very bad precedent for the 2026 general election, especially when some of these youths don't come out, like don't make it through, and yet you're still mobilizing the same people to participate in the forthcoming general election?
It would be wrong to look at this as an individual or political party struggle. So people who participate in it, they do it out of conviction for what they think. One, they're doing the right thing. Then two, they think they're making a contribution to their country. In every aspect, even if you look at the liberation war, even if you look at the post-liberation war from 1986, then FDC came on the, not FDC, Dr. FDC came on the scene in 2001 as an opposition figure. FDC came on the scene in 2006. There have always been some of these issues, arrests, some people were killed. There's a gentleman called Patrick Manenero was killed by Mr. Mayombo in a CMI custody out of torture. There's another person who was shot by Ramadan Magare in Bulangi during elections. So there have always been those excesses. However, the issue is, are you going to fold your arms and say, okay, let us wait? Because every struggle, so the issue is, and many times people make the mistake of now blaming the victim, saying, no, you are leading people to be shot. But who is shooting them? Why should government shoot people? Why should government arrest people for political reasons? For me, I think that should be the debate. Otherwise, if you say that you are mobilizing youth to come out to be arrested, who is arresting them? Why should people be arrested? The question should be, why are you arresting people for political beliefs? Because under our laws, people are not supposed to be, are supposed to be arrested when they are charged with a crime. So if you have not done anything wrong, but the only crime is supporting an opposition party, why should you be arrested? So the question should be different. The question should be to the, unless you are saying the other person we have acknowledged is a dictator, so let's just survive him by going to pray.
Excuse me. Right there, you identify as a member of the legal team, NUP's legal team. What would you suggest that would be the legal reforms to guarantee Ugandans so that they can enjoy their civic space?
One is, first of all, the Constitution the 1995 Constitution, as it had been made, had put in place some very good guarantees, which, like I've said, have been depleted over time. The most important one now would be to reinforce the independence of the judiciary. Because the judiciary is supposed to be in a neutral place. There have been different things that have threatened the independence of the judiciary, right from the appointments, right from threats, from political, and then the general environment, the general context. And of course, sometimes it's very hard to imagine that you can have, amidst a sea of broken institutions, that you can have one institution which is strong when the others are all broken. So it's also sometimes about the bigger context. But one, the first thing would be to reinforce the independence of the judiciary. The other thing would be the issue of term and age limits, because that was one of the pillars of our constitution. The constitution was changed in 2005 because it stopped only one person, only one Ugandan had been president, was stopped from getting a third term. And then the NRM guys said, oh, no, this one is so good, we need to keep him. So they changed the constitution because of one Ugandan. Of course, sadly, even us in opposition, sometimes some people have got that cancer. Sometimes they say, oh, this person is so good to go. But the key issue would be, how do we strengthen the independence of the judiciary? Because the judiciary would keep the other institutions in check. If I'm abused by the executive, if I'm tortured, if I'm held incommunicado, I should run to court and it should be court to issue a strong warning against the people who have done that. But where we have the judiciary dead or dying or weak, then all other things cannot be built. So the first reform, because there are many others, but the first one would be how do we strengthen and how do we ensure that the judiciary is as strong and independent.
You're trying to present the judiciary as currently it's not independent enough.
It's not independent enough because there have been threats to its independence. So absolutely, absolutely. There have been threats to its independence.
But I understand there are some cases NUP and all other political opposition parties have been taking to court and winning.
Yes, and this is not to say that they are not. When we say that they are threats, it doesn't mean that it's dead. Actually, even under Idi Amin, courts were opened. People don't know that. I just recently finished reading a book by the late senior counsel Kalega Njuba, who continued practicing law under Idi Amin despite all the upheavals. He was even arrested when he was Yellow Society president, just like Semakade is threatened with arrest. So all these, they are threats to it. Yes, we go to court, and yes, there have been some judicial officers who have kept amidst all the dangers, try to keep to their judicial oath of administering justice to all without fear or favor. But they are so far few, given the violations that have happened. You know, the judiciary is the one which is supposed to breathe life into the Constitution. Joseph, in the last 5 years, we have, since the Constitution was promulgated, we have 18 people missing. We have abductions, which the things we call drone attacks. We have had over 100 people arrested in such a manner, actually over 200 since the last election. Arrested, detained incommunicado, sometimes produced when they're tortured, sometimes produced in court, many times dropped without a charge. We have people held in gazetted places, but for very long periods. So the question is, how has the judiciary responded to that? We would have seen so many, much more judgments, much more pronouncements. We have had much more habeas corpus filings than ever before in the 1995 Constitution in the last 5 years. So there are threats to its independence. You know that on 31st January, the Supreme Court decided that civilians should not be tried in court martials and that files should be transferred to ordinary courts. Today, as we speak, in July, many months after that Supreme Court decision, people who are the people you talked about, our clients, our supporters who have been held since 2021, who are in court martial, they have never been presented in any other court. Their bail applications have not been fixed for hearing by the judiciary. Eddie Mutwe, Achille Chivumbi, and others are in Masaka. Their bail applications cannot even get a date. And those are the ones we know. We know there are people who have even spent their years in what we call, after committed to high court, you can even spend 5 years waiting for trial, yet you're a suspect. So there are gross challenges affecting its independence, but this is not to mean that they are not, it's dead. They are judicial officers who, despite all the challenges, are trying to uphold the oath.
So, Counsel, with the birth of the military, the military court, and as you've just put it, the lack of independence amongst the government, the public institutions, how do you project the 2026 general elections under this status quo? Like, don't you think we should just brace for the worst, or you coming up with some improvisations as well?
As a Christian, I never expect the worst. As a Christian, I am always optimistic. I always have faith that things will be good. That's why we go to church. And since Jesus rising from the dead, we've gone to church and prayed. We talk about Satan. He keeps on tempting us. Even we say in the Lord's Prayer, lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. So I don't want to say we'll brace ourselves for the worst. No. I want to say that just like any other election, we shall have, every general election, there are two, especially if you look at it at the presidential level. Every general election for the last 20 years, we've had two contestations where there are people who believe that we should remain with the status quo the life presidency, Tovako main, and then there are others who think we deserve better. So it's always that push, and I anticipate it's even louder than ever before. Like you've seen even in their manufactured results, their results keep on going down, even in those ones which are not credible.
However, according to media reports, from the just concluded the how do they call it, special interest group elections we've just had, we see the incumbent regime is progressing well, and I just wanted to respond to the this allegation you just made. Okay, this assertion you've just made, that you're getting stronger politically as opposition, you're getting stronger, but we are cognizant of the fact that in the just concluded is it special interest group elections, your performance has not been so pleasant. The last time before 2020, in 2021, what was the performance of the opposition in those special interest groups? NRM won almost 90%. Did it reflect in the general election? Secondly, I participated in those elections in my constituency, Chira municipality. I visited at least 9 centers. Those things can't be called elections. They can't be called elections. They don't meet the minimum standards of an election. In some places, the register was wrong. In Chadwajal at Umea Mosque, at a church, a Catholic church called Gonzaga on Kamuli Road, up to 3 p.m. In Chireka?
In Chireka. I was there on that Thursday of the polling. Up to 3 p.m., there was no voting. In fact, they postponed it. They said we shall vote the following day. Then the following day they said, when people reported by 8 a.m., they said, no, we have already filled in the forms. I'm talking about places where I was. There was a place called Chirema where they brought a register in Chireka, where they brought a register which had totally different people from the people who were known. So those things cannot be called elections. An election meets, there are some minimum standards that are required. That one, the register is known of the people who are going to vote prior. And all parties should be knowing the register. And then they open it up to say, whatever, because there we are in multipartism. You of NUP, you of FDC, you of NRM, these are the people who are going to vote. Such that you can also verify. Just like it is seen in these, those things were sham. They were sham.
Sham election is
yes, at least for the youth elections. I didn't participate in the elderly and the PWDs, but for the youth, using my sample space.
Whereas I would like to put it this way, with the respect, you people, I don't know why when it is not working in your favor, it is a sham. But I would like to add, we've seen the youth camp has been infiltrated because previously, much of your strength was within the youth, and we see the youth are now getting yellow.
How do you say that? You give me the evidence.
Because many of these campaigns, like previously in Chadon, youth, in fact, youth in the ghetto are crossing over to according to the media reports.
According to these ones who are robbing people in Kampala. But actually, Kaihura infiltrated youths in the ghetto in 2016. Kaihura, what General Damla is doing, General Kaihura did before. You remember the Chitata group? It was basically about that. One time they wanted to beat us in Makindi, 2016. It was similar styles. So it's just the faces, the commanders who have changed. Similar styles. These people are not infiltrating the youth per se. They are actually abusing the youth. Then what happens, they get these unemployed people, some of them are actually robbers in the day and night, promise them 10,000 shillings for a day and pirao, and then they take them to wear those funny oversized t-shirts. That is not helping them. What I would call infiltration and what I would think helping them would be to say that these groups of youths were in the ghetto, they were jobless, now we've got this capital and they're supporting them. You see how they're successful. In fact, they should invite you the media. They should be but to hire people, even you, Joseph, if I gave you money, you can hire 100 youths because they are unemployed. So they're taking advantage of the youths, the unemployment, and give them tokens for purposes of misusing them for political gains. But then back to the point, you raised something that where we don't win is where we describe as a sham. No, actually, even where we win, many times it's a sham. Kawempe North is an example. I told you, we won it. Can I call it very clean? No. But we are the victims. The only difference is that the victim turned out to be the victor. If you watch football, Joseph, I'm a big fan of Manchester United. You know that if a striker, sorry, it's the biggest club in the world. If a striker is going to score, and then he's fouled so badly for a tackle which would be a penalty, and then the striker manages to get up before the referee blows the whistle and he scores, they don't cancel that goal because there was a foul. They only can, however, if he fails to score, they can bring back for the foul. So that's what happened in that even where we win, like Kawempe North, the constituency of Abdallah Chonoka, Honorable, Mokono North, there were similar incidents. The competitor had stolen one of the boxes. One of the competitors had taken one of the boxes. He took out of intervention. There are so many opposition MPs who were in parliament where there were even bullets, there were fights to win it. So we don't win it because it was clean. We win despite of the hardships. Similar even to the court judgment, you say that. Sometimes even we go to court judgments, but we are like, yes, we have won. There's a gentleman called Masereka, was our client's son, was tortured in Kasese in 2001. That, yes, you've given us judgment in our favor, but a judgment of a tortured victim coming after 4 years, is it worth it? And then you give a compensation of maybe 20 million, is it worth it? So even where we win, sometimes we have a bitter taste, leaves a bitter taste in our mouth.
Counsel, thank you so much about that. Now I would like to drag you back to the political environment now, regarding the memorandum of understanding we are having. We see some, okay, I should put this clear. PFF, People's Front for Freedom, has just come up with a memorandum of understanding with ANTI. And we see you were invited, okay, allegedly, media reports indicate, in fact, some of the political figures in the PFF, in the camp, they say you were invited, but you've not responded. And I think these are parties with mutual interest, which you belong to. You also you're pushing for a better Uganda, okay, for the change of the government. So your decline in collaborating with what should we take of your decline from collaborating with others?
Well, we've not declined, and collaboration has no timeline. You remember there was something called United Forces of Change. It was a collaboration between NUP and Dr. Kiza Besigye's Katonga-based group. Then PFF was not there yet then, and other people. So we have not declined to collaborate. We believe that united forces are always stronger. We also believe that united forces should be based on principle, and we think that if the talks are ongoing, the talking should continue because we've not closed our doors. I don't think any of our colleagues have closed our doors. So the collaboration can happen. It has no time limit. Neither should it be done through blackmail. That if you don't come, then it means you've refused. So it should be a continuous effort. And I think that all the doors are still open, all the cards are still on the table.
Should we say you're considering responding positively?
Well, that would be saying that you are anticipating how the collaboration will go. But what I'm saying, if people talk to each other, we've dealt together before, we've worked together before. And but then again, people need to appreciate that in multi-party setups and a political party, of course, we operate in a structured manner. We operate just like you saw our two friends in PFF and ANT collaborating. I'm sure they went through different organs, the organs of their parties, and so on and so forth. So I can't prophesy how the talks will go, but what I'm saying that all the doors are open, and the collaboration can happen. And collaboration is in different fronts, actually. Many people think that collaboration means joint candidates, so what collaboration can be on several fronts. I'm not privy to the agreement between the two entities. I don't know what is the nature of their collaboration, but I know that collaboration can happen either way. But then most importantly is also to ensure that you move with your people. That's the important issue, because we've seen a coalition before in 2016 which had about 5 parties brought together. That was the TDA. And then I don't think in the general election, I think it didn't even garner 2% of the vote. Why? Because I think the people didn't move with them. So it's important that as you move together with your people. That's why collaboration is important, that you take it deliberately and in a principled manner.
I would like to add that, okay, let me own this. Personally, I have a belief that under circumstances where some political parties think their cake, okay, their table is being shaken, they wouldn't accept it to go for a collaboration. What do you think? Would you welcome a collaboration between two parties? Okay, in this regard, I would like to put this to you. We have Honorable Semuju in Ichira. You are in NUP, and you are also eyeing the same seat. Would you accept to collaborate?
Well, it's not a personal thing. If the party has made a coalition, then actually even when you make a coalition, the different parties, for instance, bring candidates each, and they say, okay, there's this seat of Chira, you are bringing Joseph, you are bringing, then among the 3, who is the best to carry the coalition flag? The problem we have in Uganda is the one, dishonesty of political actors, and then 2, the intellectual falsehoods. 1, they say that, okay, there is this narrative. Why doesn't this one live for so and so? Why doesn't NUP go for live what they call liberated opposition areas? Yet, actually, for instance, several parties, even those people who keep on saying those, have fielded aspirants in places where NUP won. I can give an example. Wakiso district is represented by the Honorable Ethel Narima on the NUP ticket.
Yes.
There are several aspirants from other parties, PFF, DP, who are interested in the same. Nasana municipality, my brother Harold Kaija picked forms to go for Nasana. Why don't they bring the same argument? I've seen Kampala man MPs is NUP. I've seen someone from PFF putting flyers. So why shouldn't the same be that for constituencies where NUP won, let us not field participants? And then 2, you should know that at the end of the day, there is the mandate of the people. It's not necessary that because Joseph is the incumbent, the people voted him or her for a lifetime term. That's why you subject yourself to the will of the people. The incumbent so lose every election. Actually, over 60% of parliament doesn't come back. Had it been that, who are you to sit and say, okay, this one, how sure are you that the same will be appreciated by the people? So it's some bit of dishonesty. Some of them are even coming. They're on social media, stays in Lubaga, stays in Natete, and then he says, why doesn't this one leave this one for Mokono? Why doesn't this one for Ruero? But who are you to decide for this? So for me, I think it's some bit of dishonesty. If they had been honest, they would have said, okay, for all constituencies which were won by NUP, which are over 50, we're not fielding candidates there. Then NUP would also leave those which are won by other
Counsel,
parties.
don't you think racing against one of your best opposition players, isn't it weakening the whole opposition?
No, it doesn't. That is what multipartyism is. That's what multipartyism is. I can give examples and see, like, because Ugandans are very low on facts or they have very short memories. The Honorable Mathias Mpuuga competed against one of the best legislators of those times, the Honorable John Baptist Kawanga. Actually, he defeated him. Kawanga was a senior legislator, a very senior lawyer. He defeated him. Democracy is all about bringing a multiplicity of choices. That's what multipartyism is. Those who think that we should have a monopoly are belonging to the NRM mindset, which has eaten up their brains. In fact, there is no harm in bringing even 4 good people and let them compete. That is what democracy is. You don't give people a mono candidate to say that, okay, that is your choice. Give people a multiplicity of choices. In many of this, ever since we went into multipartyism, 2006, we've had parties, opposition parties, competing against each other. In fact, we've never had a scenario where this constituency has only one multi-party, one opposition party, because there's no party called opposition. They have always competed against each other, especially in these areas where multi-parties have several good people. So it's not a fallacy. And secondly, actually, even if NUP doesn't front a candidate in one of those places, who says that the other person is going to go unopposed? There will be other people who will subject them to the will of the people. And the will of the people, like we've seen, is not static. It's wrong to think that the people of Nansana municipality or of Kampala Central or of whatever constituency chose a person for life. There was a lady called the Honorable Rosemary Seninde. You remember her?
Yeah, you know her.
Many people used to call her Mama Wakiso. Said, Madame Seninde is unbeatable. Then we had the 2016 election where Dr. Kizza Besigye swept Wakiso very strongly. And then Seninde beat the FDC candidate. And then they kept on saying, oh, Mama Wakiso is so strong, she cannot be, for her, they love her as an individual. Do you know where she is now? So our people are just known facts. The election, otherwise they would have said, since she survived in 2016, that this Mama Wakiso is in Wakiso. The people of Wakiso love her so much, they cannot. So the will of the people changes. That's why leaders subject themselves to elections every 5 years.
Counsel, I understand you're one of those ambitious MP, Member of Parliament aspirants. Would you please tell us about this? Like, what is inspiring you? Because we are seeing you're going against a seat which is occupied by Honorable Semuja, and he has not been performing so poorly. So do you think that he's not going for, if I didn't come, do you think that he would be unopposed? That's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. Why? Like, why is it that amongst you opposition people, like, why don't you just identify this one has been performing somehow better, and you give him space? What range do you use? The people know. The law says the people of Chira also decide, not you, Joseph. Not the people of Latate, not the people of Masaka. It's the people of Chira. That the law is clear on that. The person an MP represents the people of that area. And it's those people who decide that he's doing well. Not social media people I see. So the question is, and for me, what saddens me is multi-party activists who don't understand how democracy works. Because if you say so and so should not be competed against, then are you a Democrat? What difference do you have with NRM who say change the constitution because one person is good? Just join NRM, because those are what they are saying. The ring fencing, the Anita resolution of Chankwans, this one should not be competed against. Now we have people in opposition saying that one should not be competed for. Let me give you an example. When Dr. Kizza Besigye came back, when they had just formed FDC in 2006, they had elections for the presidency, and Dr. General Mugisha Muntu ran against him. Yet Dr. Kizza Besigye was very popular. Was very, very popular. In fact, there are even people who felt annoyed that Mugisha Muntu is running against Besigye. But Dr. Major Mugisha Muntu said, no, General Mugisha Muntu said, I'm a Democrat and I believe every position should be competed for. Now we have the same people who supported Mugisha Muntu then. Years later they are saying this one should not be competed against. What is the understanding of democracy? If a person is good, at the end of the day, democracy says, subject yourself to the will of the people. Otherwise, a good person, EC should have given him a certificate already saying you're not going to an election. If he was good, as per what you're saying. But our law says you subject yourself to the will of the people every 5 years. And it's those voters who decide either to bring you back or not. It's that simple. Why are people so angered up? Counsel. Why should opposition people fear competition? Counsel, I would like to reduce this to okay, it's not, I would like to walk away from just the narrative that you're competing just for the sake of practicing democracy, or just because it is legal for you it is democratic for you to compete. What specifically in your manifesto are you presenting? Are you bringing to this? Okay, what is new that you're bringing to this to this.
If you say what is new, are you saying that if I didn't come,
no, Counsel. I just want you to be specific. What are the filings you've just identified?
No, I'm not running against an individual. That's the mistake you make, Joseph. Chira is beyond me and Semuju. So you get yourself out of the box. Actually, there are other aspirants. NRM has people. DP has a person. I don't know why, if DC has a person. So Chira is not, we are just human beings. So we are there who will go and the constituency will remain. So Chira is not about the two people of us. And I'm not running against an individual. Because, like I said, if I decide that I'm not running tomorrow, there will be other people who are not me. If he chooses, now let me ask it the other way. Are you saying that in PFF, no one is allowed to contest for the position of Chira municipality? Are you saying that PFF, this position is ring-fenced? Is that the democracy we're prophesying?
What are you selling to the voters?
So we are in different parties. And as NUP, first of all, when you're in multipartism, and that's one of the mistakes we make, when you're in multipartism, you run under the banner of your manifesto. It's owned and independent. Now, out of that bigger manifesto, you extract the unique issues of which are affecting your area.
Your constituency.
And one of the things that I'm bringing is that we are for more effective community engagement and representation. So it's not about saying we are competing while comparing one or two. No, we are running under different parties. NUP has a different manifesto. PFF has a different manifesto. FDC, DP, NRM and different manifesto. And then, of course, we have the problems of Chira. Many people think of Chira as this elitist place. Actually, people don't know that there are over 20 slums in Chira. People don't know that. People don't know that there are public schools.
20,000?
20. 10, 20. Slums.
Slums.
Yes. People don't know that there are schools, public schools, which don't even have water in Chira. We are not even talking about the other side of Kasokoso, Uganda, where the situation is worse. We're talking about a place like Nakwero, where people, a public school, doesn't have water. Nakwero is about 25 kilometers from Kampala. So people talk about, they think of this Chira as this glorified, they talk about Nigeria, they look up at apartments in Nigeria, they think that Chira is for the elites. So the issue is, and of course there are other bigger problems of Chira, which affect all other areas of Uganda, especially in the central region. The issues of youth unemployment, which are very, very high. Any serious government should be, the last few bus results said youth make up almost 75% of our population. Where do you see youth in the government plans? Mr. Museveni today is in Wakiso touring, this week is in Wakiso touring. PDM how responsive is PDM to the youths? Where are those successful youth stories? Give me the 1 million youths whose lives have been transformed in the last 4 years of PDM. Those should be the success stories. What you are seeing, still the unemployed youths, what you're seeing are those youths struggling to make a living with their Rolex stores, with the small salons, with the borders. So the issue is beyond just the two people.
Are you trying to insinuate that PDM has not been that effective?
Of course not. If it had been, even you would know. Joseph, how many neighbors?
But we are seeing testimonies all over every time he's going out.
Well, if you want testimonies, even me, if you give me money, I can go and collect people to give you testimonies. Leave alone these stage my testimonies. Transformation happens when, for instance, Joseph, when they tell you about youth unemployment, I don't have to tell you. You can see it when we walk from your home to here and vice versa. You see, when I tell you the border situation in the country, you can see it yourself. So I'm saying that after 4 years of a lot of money being sunk into PDM, they wouldn't have to depend on testimonies. You'd be seeing it all over. You'd be seeing people, your neighbors, transformed, saying, this man got the seed capital from PDM, he has now transformed from one store, he has 10 stores. So we shouldn't be waiting for the presidential tour, and then you see those stage managed testimonies.
I wouldn't call them stage managed.
What would you call them?
I think I can say the uptake has not been so much. Okay, they have not. Maybe it has something to do with mobilization. People do not know much about this PDM program.
No, it's not about...
But it works, doesn't it?
It doesn't. You know what happens? It is facing problems bigger than it. One of the biggest problems it's facing is the corruption of the system in which it works. When it was first implemented, the first 1 year, the Auditor General's report said that billions of money had been lost in management. So one of the biggest problems it's facing is the administration of it. That there is a corruption problem, and of course in the NRM, because of the other life presidency where we started from, it's caught up by the Council of Corruption, that even if Mr. Museveni wanted something to be done well, it won't happen because of the system he's using. So that is why, even if you are to look at the optics of those tours, where you see when the president is coming, then they style up someone's home, they paint it with yellow pictures. But what the interventions after 4 years and a lot of trillions sunk in it, the interventions would be much more visible without necessarily waiting for the story. Remember, PDM came on the background of Emyoga. So it would be a build-up. When it comes to the youth, Emyoga came on the background of youth livelihood program. So there should be a build-up. That's why I'm saying, Joseph, that YLP should have maybe touched 500,000 youths whose lives are transformed, and of course it must have a ripple effect. If you got a loan from your youth livelihood, they used it to set up a farm, now I'm employing, I was alone, now I'm employing 6 people. There should be a ripple effect after all these programs. So don't look at PDM in isolation. Then there was Emyoga, then there's PDM now. And then you look at, even sometimes there are also problems in the design. If you look at a parish in Chira, and a parish designed in maybe Lyantonde, they are quite different. That the effect will not be similar. The effect will not be similar because this one is more heavily populated. A parish in Chira can be bigger than some districts.
Yeah, so, but I think depending on, like you said, the density, okay, the volume of the population in a certain parish varies. I think
that's just one of the problems. It has several other problems. The volume, it has several problems, and the bigger one being its management, the corruption that has affected it. But then two, if you look at value for money, the money sunk in and the lives transformed, because PDM is supposed to be transformational. That's how the manifesto bidded. It's supposed to say that this man didn't have anything, now he has 3 pigs. And now he has a farm, and now he has an income.
But we've been seeing these.
From the tours?
Yeah, from the tours. From the tours, okay.
You know, what happens is that these people, the organizers and the ADs and the handlers of Mr. Museveni know his mindset. They know. That is why NRM the NRM can come up and say, oh, we have a register of over 20 million members. Oh, he comes to Kawempe, they say, oh, we have over 200,000 members in this constituency alone. And then the votes you get are about 1,000. You remember Honorable Betty Kame, when she was Minister for Kampala 2016, said, oh, we're going to turn everything yellow. And then they started skidding, even not very far away from here, there was a skidding hub. So the question is that the people have learned that you just come up and come up with all those stories. If all these stories were indeed transformational, we would see a transformation in society. Joseph.
But I don't think it would be a one-day event.
But I'm not talking about a one day, I'm not talking about a 40-year event. I'm talking about a 4-year story of PDM. How many neighbors of yours do you know who have been transformed by PDM? People you know at a personal level. And you can tell us that actually I have a friend or I have a neighbor, he received 1 million or 5 million from PDM, and now he has a big carpentry shop. He didn't have anything. And now he employs 5. You, at a personal level. And that's why I'm saying that our people are yes, they may be 1 or 2 people or 3 people, but the question is that worth the money sunk in? Have we done enough? There's a story told of a person, Joseph, and that is, I think, what is disturbing you. If they tell you that from Kampala to Nairobi by bus takes 15 hours, and then you set off, and after 15 hours you find yourself at Malaba. And then you question, why are we not in Nairobi? And then the driver says, no, we are not in Kampala anymore. We've moved. The question is, we are not supposed to be here. We would have moved faster. So leave alone those 1 or 2 people. The question is, with all the resources sunk in, have we touched enough? Have we done enough? Have we caused the transformation that we thought of? Because when they were setting themselves up for this term, they said they want to transform through that PDM. Have we caused that transformation in society? Because if we had, we wouldn't have to wait for the testimonies. We would see it. For instance, there was a campaign for growing coffee, spearheaded by the Katikiro and Uganda Kingdom. If you go to some of these areas, indeed you see it. You don't even have to wait for the Katikiro speech. You see people going into coffee growing. You see that people have grown coffee. You see that some people, the last couple of years, have indeed their lives have been transformed. The person has bought a Bajaj who didn't have one out of their coffee sales. But you even see the gardens. It's visible, especially in the coffee growing areas. But even here, if you go to Masaka, to Bukoma, Simbi, to Kalungu, people have expanded their coffee gardens. They have kept them. So that you don't have to wait for testimonies. You can see it. And that's what I'm saying, that if PDM had been managed more efficiently, we would see better transformation without waiting for testimonies. Yes.
So, Counsel, right there when you're still talking about corruption as one of those major causes that have affected the efficiency of this program. I would like to drag you back to our political party, the National Unity Platform. Recently, social media has been awash of media reports, alleging that some of your party leaders have been asking for something. They have been asking. There has been some bribery, particularly. I should go particular during this nomination exercise. What is the meaning? Can you please try to make sense of these allegations? The extent that even the party president came out and instituted a committee, an investigative committee.
Well, just to put it in context, the committee was not instituted as a result of bribery allegations. There were bigger issues, just allegations. Beyond just that, we were saying some people are being coerced to step down. Some candidates are interfering in the nomination process. Those were some of the allegations, especially when you saw the video by Honorable Latif Sebagal. Actually, he didn't mention bribery. He mentioned
some were coerced.
Yes, those are
in favor of those ones who are close to the party leadership, or those ones who are influential.
Yes. Now you realize that when you go to social media, NUP is one of the biggest selling items. Any person, especially if you go to TikTok, any person just makes a video and makes all sorts of allegations. You know, in NUP, so and so is going to get a card. You know, in NUP they did this. You know, and of course, sadly, even the mainstream media, some people have brought that TikTok journalism to some of their talk shows, and you can see them every day. So the question is, in any party, it brings together people of all sorts of characters. It brings together the saints, the thieves, the liars, the fraudsters, and so on and so forth. The question is, do you have a process of managing grievances? So if there are allegations, we say that the burden that is shift. You who alleges must prove. Let the people, now what the party president leadership did was to exactly do that. If the allegations, give people a chance to be heard. Let the person go before a committee, make those allegations with evidence. Give the person who has been accused a chance to be heard, then make a decision. I've had, in the last election, 2021, I was on a committee which was hearing appeals from people who were aggrieved by the decision of the Election Management Committee. I chaired that committee. And indeed, some people brought appeals, saying, no, I was cheated. Then we would bring back the results they scored. And the reasons why the committee, which they were committee based on to issue a card. And in many of these cases, these people indeed had performed poorly, and some of those who ran as independent, indeed, they lost very terribly. So the issue is, if there are allegations, don't stick for them. let the person come, let the person prove the allegations, give the person who, because anyone can be accused of anything. In politics today, especially with social media, people make all sorts of allegations. A person gets a phone and says all sorts of things. You get? Sometimes even leaders make those allegations.
Okay, the question.
Just 1 second, Joseph. The allegations, for instance, of bribery, which you point out, have been there since the last election. What personally I've never seen is a person, and I speak to so many people in NUP, even outside, I've never seen someone who says, I gave so and so money. I've not seen him in person, neither have I seen him on the media. Any person saying, I paid so and so. Now the other question would be, if you paid Joseph, did you pay Joseph on behalf of UCTV, or Joseph was just acting on his own? So that would be the other question. So the chance is here. Let people with allegations come and prove, lay their evidence on the table. Let the other persons be heard, and let the decisions be taken.
How do you explain circumstances where because we have so many in the NUP, we have so many ambitious young people who have been eyeing several political, elective political positions, and we see them stepping down in favor of some other, like I should do a case in a point. Is he Umar Magara? Yes, he has been stepping on. I think this may be the second time, as of my knowledge.
You can even step down for the 5th time, or any other person. The only problem would be if he's being coerced. If he's doing it on his free will, who forced him to run? If he on himself he came out, Umar is my brother. There are people, I have a Mr. Semogerere, also known as Mosh. He's a personal assistant to the leader of opposition. He was running for an MP ticket. He stepped down for someone to run for another, for division mayorship or chairmanship. Why wouldn't you? How come people are not saying that this person who is perceived as close to the leadership is stepping aside for a lower position? Why are people singling that out? They are singling out, they bring out Luyombia. They say, the question would be if someone is forced. My brother Bashir Kasaga in Kawempe, motive is he's close to the party leadership. He stepped down for another person. How come people are not pointing that out? That, how can motive leave? So the question is that NUP is also a victim of dishonest, liars, and selfish people who have made it a habit to create all sorts of lies. And this is not to say that there are no issue here or there. The question is, because every party will have issues, even a family has issues. If there are problems, create mechanisms of resolving those problems. So, get those allegations. The problem of stepping aside, it's okay, for as long as a person is not coerced. For as long as a person is not coerced. It's okay for the interest of the bigger harmony.
Thank you so much, Counsel. I think it has been a wonderful discussion.
Joseph, I can tell you that even me, you've described me as an aspirant for Chira, but there are other aspirants in NUP. And if the party thinks that another person deserves a card, not me, I will rally behind that person.
With that shall make the end, the end of our discussion. Counsel, I would like, before we close this discussion, I would like you to give your closing shots.
I would like, first of all, to thank you for giving us a chance to share our views. But secondly, I call upon all Ugandans to, irrespective of our political divide, most of our problems are similar, to work for a fair and just society. Because irrespective of which party you are, if you work for a fair and just society, you will reap the returns irrespective of which party you are.
Thank you so much, dear viewers of Uganda Catholic Television. It is a pleasure having you part of this conversation. I remain Joseph Kabaale. For more of these detailed and more news updates, you can follow us on all our social media handles. I would like to thank the team that has been behind the production of this wonderful talk show. Vicky, my producer Lam, and Lole Anthony. It has been a pleasure. Have a nice time.